to a new vlog. So today is March 22nd and I need some help. I have been reading several books actually for a long period of time. I've just not been feeling like reading, or I have been starting one book and then picking something else up, and just really have fully entered into that mood reader era where I just want to read whatever I feel like reading, and I'm not worrying about finishing other stuff that I've already picked up. So in this video, I have been reading the Atlas 6 for weeks. I don't even remember when I started it. But I am currently 154 pages in, and I'm really liking it. I like the diversity of the characters. I usually like books that have kind of an ensemble of characters rather than focusing on one character. I really enjoy friend groups and like found family, things like that. So this book is really something that should be like right up my alley. And again, I am liking it. I love the like academic aspect of it, the whole idea of like the Library of Alexandria actually having survived, and like the magical elements and everything. So this is all coming together to be like the perfect book for me. But I just can't seem to get myself to sit down and read it, to like make the effort. When I'm reading the book, I like it. It's just getting myself to actually sit down and read it. So I have found that when I do these reading vlogs, I am much more likely to pick up a book and read it because I want to film for the vlog, obviously. So that is what I'm going to do. I need you guys to help me finish this book so that I can move on with my life, move on to the next one. I'm probably going to end up having to do something similar with Babel, because that is another one that I have been reading for quite a while now, and I think I'm even like less into Babel than I am this one. So Babel's longer, I believe. So yeah, I really want to get through this. I want to see what all the hype is about, why everybody loves this book so much, and yeah, I want to finish it and be done with it and move on to other things. So hopefully filming this vlog will kick my butt into gear and get me going. So let's get right into it. So like I said, I'm 154 pages in. There are, let's see, I don't even know how long this is. 373 pages. So I am a little less than halfway through. I probably have like 20 pages more and then I'll be halfway through. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up. Something that I do sometimes that helps me get through books a little bit quicker, or to kind of just kick me into gear, is I will divide the book up into like chunks, like in certain specific number of pages to read every day, so that I have an idea of when I will finish it and how many books I need to read, or how many pages I need to read every day. So right now, so I'm going to pull up a calculator real quick. Right now I have, or how many pages did I say? 350 something? 375. And I am on 154. So I have 221 pages left. I would like to finish this by the end of the week, especially because the end of March is quickly coming up, and I'd like to finish this in March. So today is Wednesday, so I'd like to finish it by Sunday. So that means I have 5 days. So I have 221 pages left divided by 5 days. So I need to read 44.2 pages a day. So usually when I do this, something else that I like to do is I really like to end at the beginning, or end, I guess, at the end of a chapter, so that I'm picking up at the beginning of the next chapter. So I might go over that 44 pages, but what I'm going to do is grab some stickies. I wish I had like a gold or something to match the book, but I don't, so I'm just going to grab some orange stickies and mark out 44 pages 5 times. So, and since it's 0.2, I'm gonna actually make it 45 pages. So 154 plus 45 pages. So 199. Usually when I end on like a number like that, I'm not gonna stop on 199. I'm just gonna go to 200, or to whatever the end of the chapter is, like I said, which is perfect because the beginning of the next chapter is actually page 200. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my little there, and then it's going to be 245 that I'm going to go past to get to the end of the chapter, which of course this seems like it is a pretty long chapter. Okay, so that's going to get me to page 253. So we're going to go 253 plus 45 is 298, which again is at the end of the chapter, so that works out perfectly. And then 298 plus 45 is 343. And then that should get me towards the end of the book. So there you have it. You can see I have added the orange tabs there to tab out the different chunks. So hopefully I will have this done by Sunday. Then if I'm reading it and I get pulled in and I want to go further than today's tab, I can always do that. But at least I know the minimum amount of pages that I need to read today to get further along in this. So a lot of times this is something that I will do when I'm having a hard time getting through a book. I will tab it off like this and it usually helps. So far in the book, all of the characters have all made it to the school. I forget where it is that they are, but they have accepted the Alexandrian Society's invitation to this school to compete and all that. They have met Atlas and passed their first test. And yeah, so the back says that there's going to be secrets, betrayal, seduction, power. I want to say somebody said this was Polly, which was the main thing that made me want to pick it up. So I'm not sure when that's going to come into play, if that's even true. Hopefully it is, because I kind of went in with that expectation. But yeah, so far I'm liking it. Like I said, I'm intrigued by all the different characters. I think Nico might be my favorite character so far. But yeah, that is basically it for now. I will check back in. I might try to check back in after the end of each of these tabs and just kind of give you an update and let you know what I'm thinking at that point. But I will see you then. Hey guys, welcome back. So it is Thursday. March 23rd is the next day now from when I filmed that intro clip yesterday. So I did get some of the Atlas 6 ready yesterday. I knew that this would help. Every time I do one of these reading vlogs, it helps me kind of get through the book quicker. So Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte had mentioned sometime recently that she didn't like this book, and that she didn't really get the hype around it. And I think I'm starting to agree. I'm not loving this, which sucks because I had really been looking forward to this. I guess it shouldn't surprise me that a book about knowledge and education and the Library of Alexandria and all that would be heavily descriptive and scientific. It goes very heavily into time travel and the mechanics of time and quantum stuff. It's like a Marvel movie, but it's very detailed, and it goes off on these tangents about the manipulation of time and the different areas of studies that the different characters are in. And a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it is going over my head. I find myself skimming a lot when it gets to those parts where it's kind of going off on tangents about science and different things. I find myself skipping those parts because I have no idea what they're talking about. So I'm not gonna DNF it because I do want to know what happens. There have been a couple of revelations, I guess, that have kind of come to light. So I'm not gonna DNF it. I do want to see where it ends, but I'm definitely skimming. I don't know if I would really say skimming, but I'm skipping, I guess, paragraphs that seem like they're just about the scientific stuff. I don't love books that are like that. I much prefer plot driven, action, or character development or whatever. A lot of this is rooted in the educational knowledge, like I said, scientific parts of this. It's focusing more on the science part than the magical part, or it's very much weaving the two together and focusing a little bit too much on that. But let me turn this around so I can show you guys some of the parts that I marked off. Okay, so I am tabbing this, so I'm gonna go back to page where I was yesterday, which was like page like 152 or something, and we'll see, just show you guys kind of what I've marked off. I think this is about where I left off. I think I was on 154, yeah. So one of the characters, Parisa, she can read minds, basically. She can kind of like visualize what is in like the thoughts of someone else's mind, but also just kind of tell like their self-talk, kind of like, when you're speaking to yourself like in your mind, she can pick up like what you're saying to yourself, and she uses that to manipulate the people around her, and so she can read people very well. And so she has been after Dalton, who is like an alumnus of the society, and teaches them while they're there. And so she has been after him like sexually, and like after like his thoughts, and she knows that he's hiding something, and so she uses sex to manipulate him, basically. And so this is where kind of the big I don't know if I say big reveal, but you really kind of realize what's actually going on. I hadn't realized that this is what was going to happen. So this is spoilery, but so it turns out that there are 6 initiates, and they have to kill off one. So they were told in the beginning that one of them would not be selected to continue on in the Alexandrian society. What they didn't tell them was that that one that didn't make it was actually going to be killed. They would have to kill that one person. So it's got kind of like Hunger Games vibes, but like set in like a posh like institute, like educational institute. So Dalton tells Parisa this, or he tells her, but she kind of coaxes it out of him through sex and through like manipulation of his thoughts and stuff. And he finally kind of confesses it to her, or she pulls it from his brain, that they're gonna have to, like, the 6 of them will have to kill one of them off. So there's only 5 of them left, which again, like I said, I didn't really realize that was what was gonna happen. The thing that I actually like the most about this book is these like drawings that are in throughout it. Like, they're beautiful. There's one for each character, and they're really, really pretty. Everyone's perception is flawed. They have standards drilled into them by cultural propaganda. Nothing anyone sees is real, only how they perceive it. Which I thought was really interesting, because it's so true. Like, our beauty standards are set by like our culture and by like the media, and who knows like what real beauty is, because we have that, like, that propaganda, like she said, like drilled into our heads. So I thought that was interesting. And then so Libby, she is an elemental, and she can manipulate like fire, basically. And she uses Tristan. The way they describe it, again, it's very like scientific, so it's kind of hard to understand, but they describe it as he's kind of like a magnifying glass, and he allows her to focus on what she's trying to manipulate when she's trying to manipulate time or like energy. And so he's used as like a magnifying glass to help her focus in on what she's trying to manipulate. And then it's revealed that Dalton isn't what they call an animator, and so he can animate things. He can bring things to life, like inanimate objects, but he says that he could also bring people to life, or back to life, I guess. This is just a quote that I liked. It says, "The world was filled with poets who thought a woman's love had unmade them." I love that, because so much of like poetry is about, men who've had their heart broken, or who are like longing after this woman, or missing their long lost love or whatever. So I really liked that quote. So when Dalton is talking to Parisa about this like killing, having to kill one initiate, he says that he's trying to tell her that the society really has nothing to do with it, that they don't make the choice. It's up to the 6 initiates who they're going to kill. They decide amongst themselves. There's no like nefariousness going on from the society's point of view. But then Parisa gets into his head and she's seeing like memories, and she sees a memory of Atlas, who is the like caretaker of the society, back years ago with Dalton, and telling Dalton that he can't be the one who's killed because he is much more valuable, and his powers or his magic, his abilities are much more valuable, and he's more necessary than one of the other initiates. The other initiate will just go on to be like your typical rich man, just kind of living in society, whereas Dalton is much more necessary. So this just shows that the society does have more of a hand in who they kill than what Dalton is trying to say. Like they do very much like pick and choose who they think is more valuable and who they think they need. So I'm interested to see who, like within the group, this current group, the society is going to deem like worthy to live. I know that Dalton wants Parisa to live, so we'll see who ends up like getting the axe, like literally. So that is it for those 50 pages that I read yesterday. Like I said, I'm not like fully loving this. It just gets so descriptive and so into the like science part of it that it doesn't focus on like the plot part of it, and it's just a little much for me. But like I said, I do want to keep pushing through. I have like 150 pages left, so not too much. I want to see what happens. I want to see who they end up picking to kill off. So yeah, I'm gonna read the next 50 pages here today, and then I will check back in. Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Tuesday, March 28th. I have officially finished the Atlas 6. So I made myself a cup of iced coffee here. So let's sit, have some coffee, and talk about the Atlas 6, or at least the last little bit of it that I haven't talked to you guys about yet. So, I did not finish this over the weekend. I finished it this morning. I don't remember where the last, or what the last time was that I updated you guys was. So I'm just gonna go back to page like 200 and just kind of talk about the last like quarter of the book. Something happened in the last 4 or 5 chapters that I wasn't expecting. That's not true. That's not fully true. So I suspected that something was gonna happen. Something happened earlier in the book, around the 50% mark, 60% mark maybe, that had me starting to be suspicious about something. But I wasn't really sure where it was gonna go, and then it went in a way that I was not expecting at all. So like I said, let me get to page 200, and I'm just gonna go through some of these tabs. As you can see, I have tabbed it up quite a bit, which I love seeing. I do need to go through. I always like, I don't know about you guys, but if you can see, they're not like all lined up. Some of them are sticking out further than others. Like if you see this blue one sticking out pretty far, like a lot less than some of these. So I always like to go through it and make them even. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I love having the tabs in there. I just like them to all be like uniform. So let me get to page 200, and like I said, I'm just gonna go through some of these tabs and kind of talk about the last quarter. So around the 200 page mark, the initiates are all released kind of back out into the world for Christmas. They have been at the house where they're living with the Alexandrian society for like months. I think like 6 months or something. They're halfway through their like year of initiation or whatever. So they're released back out into the world. They all kind of go their separate ways. While they're out, they all get approached by this group that's basically the like opposite of the Alexandrian society. So it's like their competition, I guess, kind of, or people who know what the Alexandrian society is and are trying to fight it. So the way so you get the view you get is from what's her name? Raina. Her name is Raina. So you get her POV of this person from this other society. I forget what it's called now. Like finding her randomly in like a botanical garden or something, and he starts talking to her, and he starts talking about how the society basically hoards all of this knowledge, and you know, knowledge is power, and so they're not only hoarding all this knowledge, but they're hoarding the power that comes along with it. They hoard all of these magicians. They call them Medians. They hoard all these Medians. Every decade they take a group of the 6 most powerful Medians and like initiate them into this society. So they said that's not right. This knowledge should be shared with the world. You know, it's basically kind of like this society is like the elitist, you know, higher up people, and they're saying, you know, the rest of the world should have access to the same things. The lower class should have access to the same things as the Alexandrian society, which is like the elite of society. So your typical like the rich people hoarding things, and then, you know, everybody else in the world is kind of left out. In that way, there's actually a lot of similarities, I feel like, between this and Babel. Obviously Babel is also about, you know, education, knowledge, people hoarding that knowledge, a school setting. So I think there's a lot of similarities. I think I enjoy the writing in Babel more. But anyway, so this person, like I said, comes to Raina while she's out of the school, approaches her, talks to her, tries to convince her to like allow them into the house, basically into the library or the archives, and she turns them down, and come to find out that they were actually all approached by the that opposing group. Then so I had heard that this was poly. I guess maybe it kind of is. It's kind of like poly light. Like first of all, there's no like on page really like real like smut. There's the sex is kind of faded black. Like it doesn't go into full detail. Some of them do hook up. There was a threesome scene. I think I talked about that. Maybe I did update yesterday. I talked about that yesterday. I think 2 of the guys hook up, but they don't, like I said, it's not on page, so it kind of alludes to it, but there's no like confirmation. So that part was good. And then I'm just trying to see what else I marked off on here. Obviously they're like debating the morality of it. Is it okay? You know, should we do this? A couple of them start off saying, I would never do that, only to realize that, yeah, they probably would, in order to gain access to this knowledge, subsequently the power that comes with that knowledge. So towards the end of the book, they all start kind of, like I said, infighting, arguing amongst themselves, debating. Eventually kind of the debate about the morality of it fades away, and it becomes more about, well, if we had to do this, who would we kill? And the whole thing about, like, I think I talked about earlier how it's very scientific and descriptive, and it goes on about like physics and time, concepts of time, concepts of like the way time is made up, like the chemistry of time, astral planes. It goes very much into detail, all of those things that I do not understand, that go over my head. So for a lot of those like paragraphs, and there were sometimes pages of that, I did kind of skim. I would look for like actual quotes and read what they were actually saying rather than like internal monologue. But a lot of it just went over my head. So I'm not gonna lie, I did skim some of it. Then, so something happened around page 251 that, like I said, made me suspicious of something that I thought was gonna happen, but I did not see it going the way it did. So this is definitely spoilery, so if you don't want to know spoilers, click out of the video now. So Libby, one of the initiates, has a boyfriend that she leaves behind. His name is Ezra, and he just always kind of struck me as a little weird. He's only like shown a few times in the beginning of the book. Then you don't really hear from him again. But while Libby was home for Christmas, they were arguing and he was acting kind of weird. I was just like, from the beginning of the book, I was kind of suspicious of him. And so something happens at this point in the book around page 250 that made me even more suspicious of him. And I thought that there was something else going on with him. That made me think even more that something else was going on with him. And I was right. So I'm not going to give away, I guess, fully what it was, but I was right. Something did happen with him. So at one point, Tristan, one of the initiates, is kind of selected to be the one to try to kill Callum, one of the other guys, who is an empath, so he can read other people's like emotions. But he seemingly like doesn't have any emotions himself. I'm pretty sure he's like a sociopath or something. Tristan's tasked with killing him. He doesn't. And instead, Callum kind of acts like he has a knife, acts like he's gonna kill Tristan, but then something happens that stops them, like in the middle, and Callum's like, oh no, I wasn't actually gonna do it. I don't believe that. I think he really was gonna do it. And he just happened to get stopped by what ends up happening. Then as well, it turns out that because Callum is an empath and he can read other people's emotions, he can also create he can kind of control their minds, and he can also create like fake realities in their minds. And it turns out that he's been doing this and has been like manipulating Tristan's mind the whole time. And they're the two guys who I believe hooked up, which makes it even worse. So Tristan eventually realizes what is going on and why or how. Tristan eventually realizes that Callum is manipulating him, and so he confronts him about it. So basically this is definitely gonna be spoilery. The end result is that basically Atlas, the caretaker, is the one who's kind of behind everything, and he's been orchestrating this whole thing and planning the whole thing, and he actually hand selected these initiates because he wants to use them to like take over the world. Basically, he is going to destroy the world and create his own world, and he's going to use these initiates and the Alexandrian Society to do it. And it turns out he's had this plan the whole time. So also it turns out that the way that the archives are powered with magic is when the 6 initiates sacrifice one of themselves, so it ends up being 5. When they kill off one of their group, that is seen, it's like a sacrifice, and their magic that is released upon their death is what powers the archives. So Atlas is using these people to continue to like replenish the power of the archives and all the magic surrounding the manor and where they are and his whole way of life, basically, and he's using them to do it. So yeah, this did not go the way that I was expecting. There's definitely a lot of like I said, it's definitely about like knowledge and scientific-y things. I wasn't quite expecting that. I don't think I realized that it was contemporary either. When I saw that it was about the Library of Alexandria, I thought it was set like in that time, or I don't know. I didn't really expect it to come to just be contemporary times and the Library of Alexandria, or like all the manuscripts and everything from the Library of Alexandria were kept. I thought that was gonna be like more of a central point, and it wasn't really. It was just used as a plot point as, oh, the library didn't actually burn down, it was hidden. But this was more about these 6 people during like contemporary times getting accepted into society. So it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't bad by any means. The magic is pretty cool. The way each of them have their own different like magical abilities is pretty cool. I did like the relationships between them. I think Nico and Libby are my favorite because they're kind of like 2 halves of the same coin. They complement each other. But yeah, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be. But it was good. I think I would give it 3 stars probably. I will probably read. I did see, actually, now that reminds me, I did see on the back here that it says the Atlas 6 on audio, read by a full cast. So I checked out the audiobook for this and then like never listened to it, and it got returned to the library. So when it comes time to read the Atlas Paradox, which is the 2nd book in the series, I think I'm going to try the audiobook and see if I like that better, because I do like books that have like full cast like that. So yeah, that is it for this one. Like I said, I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It was good, not great, nothing really that I can think of to push it into a 4-star. Had I not been suspicious of Ezra from the beginning, and had that been like a complete surprise, then maybe that would have pushed it into a 4-star. But yeah, I think it's definitely 3-star. So that is it for this one. Thank you for following along. Thank you for being here to help me get through the rest of this book. And I will see you guys in the next one.